Welcome to Let's Talk Apprenticeship. And here we talk about all things apprenticeship. Here we talk about the myths, the legends, the opportunities, the potential of fantastic thing called apprenticeship. So, Louise, what are we doing in this episode?
So, this episode, we're talking about the time from when you get accepted for your apprenticeship and the actual start of your apprenticeship.
Good. So, all that effort of good resume, good application, good interviewing, all's paid off. And now you are going to get a job offer.
That's
Okay.
it.
So there are watch outs in that too, isn't it? Okay.
So, even though you've got the job, there's still that time in between. And depending on how the process went for you, sometimes, there might not be any time in between because you might have done work experience and then just started. But then if you have, say, you've gone through a big company traditional process where, you might have been accepted in October or November of the previous year, and you don't start till the end of January, for example, there's still a lot of time in between there.
So, and then I think there's also one aspect which is what they call the pre-employment medical, and especially for roles like this, there are pre-employment medical to understand if there is any aspect of your physical fitness or health which might stop you from doing the inherent requirements of the job or might require a reasonable adjustment. So watch out for that as well, because that might be what you think is an offer letter is actually an invitation to go and do a pre-employment medical. Sometimes the offer letters are subject to that, so watch that out. Offer letters often are sent by email, but more than likely, organization will make a verbal offer and say, hey, do you verbally accept this offer? These are the key details of it, and we will be sending out an offer pack. Now, offer letter may be one part of that pack, but there could be other aspects of the pack whereby you are supposed to sign and return some documents. More than likely, they will give you a prepaid envelope to do that, or they might want you to scan and send it back to you. Now, offers are not done until you've done that. So, once again, make sure you keep an eye on your inbox, very close eye, and also your junk mail folder to get that. Sometimes you have to print those documents, sign it, and send it back. Sometimes they're electronically signed. So again, if you don't know all of that, there's plenty of information about that on the internet on how to do that. But as you said, it's not done until you have actually commenced into the job. So do look at the offer pack carefully.
Yeah, that's it. And even if you have some time to prepare in between the actual getting the position, and then you might have, the pre-employment medical. So, basic things. Don't have a big night before then. Be good. Look after, so generally for trades, depending on the role, a lot of them will have a bit of a fitness test in there as well. So, you don't have to be like a bodybuilder or a fitness expert to pass these medicals, but you do have to have your basic fitness in check. Anything like you might have any niggling injuries, make sure you have medical clearance for all of those from your standard GP. Say if you've had a previous shoulder injury, you can bring that up, but make sure you do have clearance because that might put them off employing you if you've got something that might be aggravated as well.
And certainly, as I think you touched upon, is they do have a drugs and alcohol test, and most organizations do that because, hey, you're going to be working in a high-risk environment, right? So certainly those things are there. Sometimes, the medication you are on may also affect. So make it known to the concerned, medical firm or clinic, wherever you go to, that this is what I am out. Take the prescriptions with you. That all that helps, because at the end of the day, they are looking for a person who is able to meet the inherent requirements of the job and is able to deal with the requirements of the job, and safety being at the paramount of that. So it's an essential process. Other than that, I think, yes, as you said, look at the details such as when is the commencement, where do you have to go at what time. There might be aspects of onboarding in it. Some organizations will have a week-long onboarding program. They may want you to maybe fly down to a certain location in a city to attend the onboarding program. They might be asking for dietary requirements, uniform sizes, etc., etc. There could be aspects such as you are employed already somewhere else, and so you might now, depending upon the offer letter, terms and conditions, and how confirmed it is that you got the job, you may now decide to resign from that job, the previous job as well. So all of those things you need to really look at very carefully.
Yeah, and that's it. And even you mentioned uniform sizes. So sometimes even though the company might say that the uniforms will be ready for day one, always make sure you have a backup in case something happens, whether, orders are delayed, the incorrect size was, delivered, or the sizing wasn't what you thought, that kind of thing. Always make sure you have something. It doesn't have to be like super crazy, but if you have your knee pants or work pants or safety gear, pants is, in my experience, is the thing that goes wrong the most in the uniform sizing. Shirts, you can wear an oversized shirt and be okay, but the pants are a bit more difficult. But make sure you have like at least one set of gear that you can work in before you start, in case anything does go wrong like that.
That's a great point, Louise. And if it was for a mechanic's job, then make sure you have a workwear on you. You might get your branded, company provided uniform, safety shoes, everything, but doesn't hurt having your own. And look, and again, check with the accountant, but all these expenses are tax deductible, so you might be able to claim back on tax with those things. Other than that, I think if you don't have a tax file number, get it beforehand, and it might be even asked through that. Your choice of superannuation is also required by the business. So all of this, bank account, most importantly, hey, you want to get paid.
Yeah.
So make sure it's working, it's there, it's provided. And anyway, you write numbers and information which is critical like that, double and triple check. When you're scanning documents, if you don't have a good scanner, and I think most phones now do good scanning, but something substantial like that, if you don't have the scanner at home, go to an office works, and for a very less sort of expense, you can have a good quality scan sent out, because hey, this is the job you're going to, it's going to pay you money, so might as well invest some of that. Keep your receipts and again claim it back on tax if you can.
Yeah, that's it. And even in the knowledge-based side of things, prepping for starting an apprenticeship, you don't have to prep and do any study beforehand, but, there's good old YouTube to find some, get your technical language up, get playing out with tools, as well as there's different platforms depending on what industry you're in. So for mechanics, there's a platform called Lunchbox Sessions, which have like amazing resources, movable diagrams, all that kind of stuff. That's something that I do recommend to a lot of mechanical apprentices, because it's a resource that helps you learn, and especially if you may have struggled at school, getting that foot in the door kind of thing will really help you when you get started.
Yeah, and look, even if it's a small organization, it doesn't hurt to call and say, hey, I've signed the offer letter. What am I expected to wear on the day one? Because not all organizations will give you everything.
Yeah.
So obviously, and as they say, a lot of apprentices get employed by small and medium-sized businesses, which don't have the whole shebang of things, the whole wide range of perks and everything. But I think even small organizations will still be responsible for safety of the apprentice, and they might be working on you buy, I will reimburse, and again, they don't have a whole recruitment admin team to have a nice pack put together and all that. But again, they're doing what is required by the law, and in such cases, don't hesitate to ask what is happening on day one, what is happening in week one, and things like that. The other thing which I always also remind my clients is get a USI number, a unique student identifier, which is required for your TAFE. Right? Now, if you have studied in Australia, you should all have one. But if you have done education a long time ago, haven't done any TAFE course in the recent years, like 5 or 10, 15 years, you may not have that. It's very easy to create. So ask all those questions, because that will help you be very ready in the first week. And if they do a TAFE enrollment in the very first week, then you have that on you.
Yeah.
Your licenses and all that might be asked as well, copy of the license. So anything which is expired, renew that in time.
Yeah, that's it. And then tools is another part that comes in part of it. A lot of apprentices, you're not expected to have tools for the first few months. Like, it's kind of a, on a knowledge basis, you're starting a position, you got to save the money to get the tools. But it's always important to check in if you do or you don't need tools and kind of what you're expected to have in that first when you first arrive, but then you can build on that.
Certainly. And again, buying tools is a tax deductible expense as well. So, and all those things, I would certainly seek, suggestions and advice from experienced people. Sometimes, if the employer doesn't expect you to have the tools, then wait, just go in, ask them what exactly is required. Then you can put the money where, it's required, because tools are expensive and good tools are definitely expensive.
That's it. And some things like that you can do if you are required to have tools before you do start is ask for apprentice discounts. A lot of tool shops actually do apprentice packs or apprentice discounts, often because they know you're going to be back to buy a lot more if this is the beginning of your journey.
Snap-on tracks. No plan.
Maybe not Snap-on. But even secondhand tooling as well can be really valuable. I know some of my first tools were secondhand from a mechanic that was nearing retirement and was supervising, and he didn't need them anymore, and he gave them to me really cheap. Like, they were pretty worn out, but they got me by for a year to 2 years so that I could save up to get a really good quality piece of equipment. But yeah, retiring mechanics and retiring tradies might have tools that will get you through those first few years while you can save up.
Exactly. And hey, don't be late on the day one.
Yeah.
Very, very important.
Don't have a big night beforehand.
Sure.
Look after yourself. Yeah. And really, it's the start of something amazing. We shared in episode 1 where our apprenticeships have taken us, and the world's your oyster.
So are you suggesting end of season 1, Louise?
I think this might be end of season 1.
Okay, good. So what can we look forward to in season 2?
So season 2, we'll talk a bit more about the actual apprenticeship, tips and tricks through there to really get you succeed. Like we said, we both competed in competitions, nationally and internationally. And, we've really been to that point of excellence kind of thing. And we really want other apprentices to be able to achieve that as well.
So now if you look back on the journey from episode 1 to now, episode 7, can we say that we brought someone who doesn't know what an apprenticeship is to now commencing an apprenticeship?
I think we've given a lot of tools, tips and tricks that we've learned from our own journeys, plus in supporting others through their journeys to get an apprenticeship successfully.
Certainly. So I think I haven't said in the previous episode, but now that we've got the season ending here, please do subscribe, like, and share with people who think can benefit from that. Spread this around, and feel free to suggest in the comment section. If you like to know more about things, ask a question, tell us about what we can do differently to make this podcast more engaging and more useful for yourself and others you know.
And let us know if you did get your apprenticeship out of this conversation, or if this podcast did help you, or even if you just found us now and you have an apprenticeship, you want to share that. We'd love to celebrate you guys in season 2 and really talk about the success of people getting apprenticeships.
And I think for the hard work we've done, Louise, we deserve a plug. So look, all those girls out there, and even boys, fabulous coach. Louise is a fabulous coach, and she certainly, her speciality is to guide people who are stuck in their apprenticeship, don't know where to go. There could be unfortunate circumstances, harassment, whatever the case may be. Louise has all the right advice for you, so please do reach out to Louise.
Yeah, and Raman really helps guide people in their careers as well, especially in that starting process, getting you a good, strong base. If you do have any blocks, like you feel really nervous about your interview, or you really don't have the confidence to actually go to workplaces and start applying, Raman can definitely help you there.
Thanks, Louise. And even if you are an apprentice, you are now a supervisor, now you want to become a workshop manager, you are a workshop manager wanting to become a branch manager, and so on, we can also help you with those things as well. So we can pretty much do everything.
We've got all bases covered.
Perfect.
So
all
we've
right.
got our email address in our description, and follow us on our socials, Instagram. We're also on LinkedIn as well. But don't be strangers, and we'll speak to you in the next season.
All right. We've enjoyed doing this, so we look forward to meeting you again. Bye-bye.